When I woke up on August 1st, 2005, I had no idea that by September 1st, just one short month later, my entire world would be flipped upside down. On August 29th, 2005, my life came crashing down. I knew that a hurricane was coming. How bad it would get, I had no idea. When water poured into my home, taking out the front door and all the windows in my home, I rushed my husband and my 2 kids upstairs. Our Rottweiler was nowhere to be found. He was just by our side before we made it up to the stairs. The water didn't stop. I knew with this amount of water that the levees had broken. I found no hope in those moments that seemed to last forever. I feared for my children's lives and for my husband's and for my own. And where was our puppy? I prayed that he was somewhere safe, somehow. What if one of us got swept away by the flood? There was no mercy inside of those waters. It was ruthless. We got into our upstairs bathroom. There was no way out but up, through the roof. My husband somehow broke us into our attic. We had made it to the roof, and it was a chance to survive. How did we do it? As God spared our lives, we were stranded on a roof for 15 hours before we saw the helicopter that was going to rescue us. Our nation's National Guard was here to save us. There is hope. The days that followed hadn't gotten any easier. We were transported to the Superdome with thousands of other people. We all had one thing in common. We were all scared. Scared for our families and for our friends and the ones we hadn't seen or heard from. Where was everyone? Were they alive, wherever they may be? On September 3rd, I was reunited with my little sister. She and her husband lived just a block away from us on Canal Street. She had a 10-year-old daughter and a 6-year-old son. She saw me and collapsed into my arms. I knew at that very moment she had lost somebody. Was it a neighbor, a friend, one of our family members? She wept, and through the tears I heard her say, "My baby, he's gone." On that day, August 29th, Hurricane Katrina took my nephew Jackson away from the hands of his mother. The current was too strong. For years we wondered if he had been okay, that he hadn't drowned by himself, scared beyond all belief. But on August 29th, 2009, we had a small empty casket buried with his name engraved on a stone. This is a story that I heard when I went to New Orleans, Louisiana in May of 2010. This was my fourth week-long trip that I had taken to New Orleans since the hurricane. I wanted to go to help in any way possible. I heard this exact story from the mouth of the survivor herself. Her and her family, since the hurricane, devoted their lives to helping others gut their homes, rebuild a new place to live, give spiritual guidance to anyone, and to feed the volunteers who came from all over the world to help the people of New Orleans. This little boy who was killed by the hurricane was one of 12,000 deaths that were reported. Many of the survivors were deported to other places in Louisiana and around the country. Residents of New Orleans who were forced to move out, that started on August 28th, 2005, the day before the hurricane hit. Of those who stayed in the storm, 400,000 total were deported from their homes. Katrina completely flooded 80% of the city. 80% of the entire city was demolished by water and wind. This hurricane's damage caused an estimated cost of $200 billion. The economy in New Orleans was also extremely affected. Statistics show that within the first 10 months after the storm, nearly 95,000 jobs were lost. The loss of wages during these months accumulated to approximately $2.9 billion. It is important to understand the basics of the economy of New Orleans in order to comprehend the devastation that followed in 2005. New Orleans had 3 main components to its economical growth: tourism, port operations, and higher educational services. New Orleans is one of the most traveled to cities in the United States. People from all around the world go there to be a witness to the jazz festivals, Mardi Gras events, sports events, and the culture in itself. In the tourism sector alone, post-Katrina, New Orleans lost 22,900 jobs. This equated to a loss of wages of $382 million. Up until the hurricane, jobs had steadily increased by 33% in the previous 14 years. New Orleans was headed in the right direction with employment before Katrina hit. With its port operations, New Orleans has nearly 5,000 ships from over 60 countries docking at its port each year. Its location makes the perfect port for trade with Latin America. After Hurricane Katrina, 35,000 jobs disappeared out of thin air, and more than $131.6 million was lost within 10 months following the hurricane. The city is also known for its higher educational services. Here resides Tulane University, the University of New Orleans, Xavier, and many others. 1,900 jobs were lost within the higher education segment. These jobs do not include the loss of hundreds of schools, such as preschools, grade schools, high schools, etc. Children lost a place to learn and to grow. Their school supplies, school buildings, and school structured learning was wiped away by Hurricane Katrina. Hurricane Katrina in August of 2005 brought destruction and chaos to the lives of the residents of New Orleans. It is important for all citizens of the United States to understand the turmoil and the suffering the people of New Orleans went through. It is important to know the facts about what happened there before no one judges the situation of the people who still live there trying to rebuild their homes. Most importantly, it is important to know that they still need help. People still, to this day, could benefit from donations of food, money, books, school supplies, and countless other resources. Out of this terrible natural disaster, many good things have happened. People have lent a helping hand to those less fortunate. People continue to make donations to help the rebuilding effort. Together we can rebuild New Orleans.